Hi everyone. Thanks a lot for coming out tonight. Clearly there's a bit of interest in all electric homes, which is great to see. My name is Kelly Heffer. I work in Glen Eira City Council's sustainability team. And firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking from the land of the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri people of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and pay respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. So for context, Glen Eira Council is putting on this session and has a focus on getting off fossil fuels and helping people go all electric as part of our commitment to work towards achieving zero net carbon emissions in the city of Glen Eira by 2030, and that's part of our adopted climate emergency response strategy. So there's about 3/4 of Glen Eira emissions from residents, businesses, etc., that are coming from electricity and gas. So clearly there's a lot of opportunity to reduce emissions in our homes and businesses. And no doubt, if a bunch of you have been working from home and noticing those energy price hikes, there's lots of good reasons to get off gas and have a more healthy and comfortable home. So we've got a range of programs to assist residents and businesses to take climate action, and in particular relevant to tonight is our Solar Savers program that helps residents and businesses install affordable, vetted quality solar systems. And there's a bunch of information on rebates and other support from the Victorian government on our website. So when it comes to our own operations, Council's got a real commitment to getting off gas and going all electric too. So all of our electricity needs are met by 100% renewable sources. So that's every building, street light, electric vehicle, etc., through a combination of solar on our rooftops and by buying renewable energy through wind farms at large scale, grid supplied renewables. And we're transitioning our buildings off gas. So the new Murrumbina Library and Community Hub will be all electric and have no gas connection. And I guess lastly, we're also pushing and wanting to work with the Victorian government to amend the planning scheme so that all new multi-residential developments and commercial developments would need to achieve a higher energy standard and be powered by renewables with no gas connections. So we're advocating on that in the lead up to this state election with a bunch of other councils too. So now to introduce our speaker. So we have Andrew Redaway, who's been advising households on home sustainability and solar energy for many years and has a degree in mechanical engineering and qualifications in solar installs. He's previously worked at the Australian Energy Foundation and former Australian Technology Association, but known as Renew these days. And one of his key legacies in life is that he developed the Sunulator, which is an online simulation tool. So it helps you to plan your rooftop solar system so you can work out how much solar you generate versus how much would be consumed in your house compared to exporting. So you can always Google that and make use of that. I've also got my colleague Patrick from the sustainability team, who has energy expertise too. And so firstly, we'll have Andrew's presentation for about 40 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time for audience questions. So all of you are muted, so please type your questions in that Q&A section that you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom. You'll see an icon there. You can type them as you think of them during the presentation, and we'll have them answered at the end. Patrick will assist with managing some of those questions. The webinar will be recorded and we'll circulate that link to that afterwards as well. So with that, I'll hand over to Andrew to get into the detail of tonight. Thanks a lot.
Great, thanks a lot for the introduction, Kelly. Just got a funny picture here. So you might be wondering, if you do ditch gas, will this be your fate in winter? You'll be curled up over your little oil column electric heater in a blanket. Well, yeah, we'll hopefully explain that as we go through. So why go off gas? So what are the reasons for that? And then look at the appliances that currently use gas, and then different scenarios for doing that transition to an all electric home. Solar, and some potential hurdles to that move off gas. Okay, so gas, the old days. So sort of traditional especially in Victoria, that the gas was seen as a relatively clean and green alternative to coal-fired electricity. So natural gas, cooking with gas. We had Crown Casino with its gas brigades, they called it. These big gas fires that would go off for entertainment, like, what was it, once in an hour or once a half hour? I've forgotten now. So that was the old sort of thinking. Nowadays, gas is a bit more complicated. So picture in the top left is Vladimir Putin autographing a gas pipeline. So this has been in the news a lot now, because with the conflict in Ukraine, European countries are, as rapidly as possible, reducing their reliance on gas from Russia. So they're trying to source gas from everywhere else in the world, which is one of the factors that's pushed the gas prices up sky high. So that ship on the right, LNG stands for liquefied natural gas. So that's one of the ways that gas gets shipped around the world. Well, yeah, the main one actually, apart from in pipelines. So yeah, Europe is looking at importing more ships, including potentially from Australia, or if not directly from Australia, then yeah, our gas exports are going to be part of that mix. So prices are going to be higher for the gas exports, and our prices are now linked to the world gas prices. So it all ties in together. And locally, since the 1980s, 1970s, we've been sourcing gas from Bass Strait. So oil rigs that drill through the water into the ground and extract gas out of the seabed under Gas Strait. But that's actually running out. So increasingly, the southeast part of Australia is looking to import gas, either from Queensland or potentially even from overseas, which is a little crazy when we're exporting from part of the country and then importing in another part. But yeah, that's apparently what some of the plans are. Coal seam gas is controversial for its environmental impacts. And yeah, there was a report a couple of years ago that looking into the causes of asthma, and they actually reported that it was a pretty detailed scientific study. They found that cooking with gas inside the home was a significant contributor to that. And so Crown Casino has now paused those gas fires. So they've caught wind of the issues with gas and moved accordingly. So yeah, gas it's quite a different picture now than what it might have been a couple of decades ago. So all electric is the main alternative to using gas appliances, and it's an idea that's sort of been catching on a fair bit recently. I've even seen it on billboards over the freeway. So some of the big volume home builders are advertising the fact that this is some of their new housing estates are going all electric. But yeah, the idea goes back. This picture here is from 1973, from the annual report of the State Electricity Commission. I'm not sure how many of the audience is old enough to remember 1973, but yeah, it was apparently a time when mustardy saffron color was very popular. And yeah, so the SEC was promoting the idea of all electric homes as a cleaner option to other sources that were popular at that time, such as, you know, coal briquettes and heating oil and firewood and that kind of thing. So yeah, all electric. Yeah, it's not such a new idea. Okay, so let's look at the appliances that we're talking about. So heating is the first one, and there's a few, several different types of heating that you can use in your home. So the first example here is for a gas wall heater. So that's a gas appliance. Most of them have a flue. So that's like a chimney that goes up to, so when you burn gas, the burnt gas has some, you know, gases that aren't that great to breathe in. So it's good to allow those gases to go outside the home. And some of the heat is lost up the flue with the exhaust gases from the burning. So if you've got 100% of the energy coming in, you probably lose about 20%, and then you get about 80% going to useful heat in the home to warm up a living area. So these are just rough averages, just round numbers to give an idea. There are some gas heaters that are unflued. They haven't got that chimney taking the gas outside, and in that case, the combustion product, the gases released by the burning, are inside the home, and they're really discouraged nowadays. I think it's really only older appliances that you might find, older installations. You might find those, but if you do have an unflued gas heater, then you do have to be a little bit careful. For example, if you seal up your house really tightly, which is normally a good idea to be more energy efficient, with an unflued gas heater, some people have run into problems when those combustion gases from burning the fossil gas have built up in their home and caused health issues. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, ducted gas heating. So this is quite popular in larger homes, especially in Victoria and also Canberra, not so much in the rest of the country. So this big square unit there is normally outside, like down the side of your house somewhere. And that's connected with ducts either under the floor or through the roof space in between the ceiling and the roof, to vents to send warm air into the home. So if you have 100% of the energy coming in the gas pipe, energy contained within the gas, then same as with the last picture, you probably lose about 20% just out up the flue. Just some heat escapes with the exhaust gases, but you also lose maybe another 20% of your energy in that sending the energy through the ducts. And there's a few reasons for that. One is the ducts, and they've got a bit of insulation in the walls, but it's not super insulated. So the heater's sending in hot air at the start of the duct, but then by the time it comes up to all of the vents in the rooms, it's not as hot as it was. It's losing a bit of heat out. So to some extent, it's trying to warm up the air under your floor or up in your roof cavity. Yeah, there's also issues with where that air goes when it comes out of the vent in the room. Okay, so you're pushing air into the room. Your room's not going to blow up like a balloon. Like, air has to escape from the room as well. So where's that air going to go to? Well, some will go out the door, down the corridor, and back to the return vent, which brings air back to the central heating unit. But if you've got the door closed in a bedroom, it's not so easy. Some of the air's got to sneak under the crack, squeeze under the crack. But some of it's probably going to escape out the cracks around your windows, and you'll be losing warm air out of the home. And so it's sort of increasing the air pressure in the room, and it's supercharging those leaks and drafts to lose some of that heat. Another factor is you need a fairly powerful fan to push push all that warm air from the heating unit out to all those ducts. So that actually can use a fair bit of electricity. So there's a few issues with ducted systems. So end result, with a ducted gas heater, you might only be getting about 60% of the energy in the form of heat compared to what was delivered in the gas coming in. All right, let's move over to electric types of heating. So this is a convection panel heater. So it's just got a plug that on a cable that you plug into a power point, a wall socket, and it's pretty simple. It's just taking electrical energy and it's converting it into heat energy, the same way as your toaster does and your hairdryer. Yeah, just electricity to heat. And it's relatively efficient compared to a gas appliance. So you don't really have any losses. All of that electricity that goes into the appliance, all of that energy comes out as heat energy. Yeah, however, electricity is more expensive than gas on a unit for unit basis of energy. So if you were converting from gas over to simple electric heaters, then yeah, it may not be, it may be more expensive to heat with this type of heater compared to gas. And yeah, when I'm talking about simple electric heating, I really mean sort of anything that you plug into a power point. So the oil column heater that I had in the second slide, bar radiators, convection panel heaters, radiant panel heaters, all of those things are pretty simple. They're just going one for one electricity to heat. Okay, now let's look at a split system air conditioner. So we've got the outdoor unit on the left there. So normally sits in the garden. Good installers can get creative about where they put these. So they can be mounted on walls on a bracket. They can even go on rooftops if you've got like a flat roof out the back or something. If you've got good airflow and under the house and you've got enough space under the floorboards, then they can probably go there as well. So yeah, so you've got your outdoor unit, and then that's got pipes that connect into the indoor unit. So if you have 100% of the energy coming in through the electricity cable, then what it's actually doing is it's sucking in air that's blowing around down the side of your house, assuming you're using it in heating mode in winter, right? So it's sucking in air and it's extracting heat from that air and then blowing out the air colder. So if it's winter and you stand in front of one of these things, you'll notice that there's cold air blowing on you, like even colder than what the winter air is usually outside. So yeah, it's extracting heat and it's moving that heat through the pipe, which comes out of the indoor unit. So that's why you can get a 500% efficient appliance. So you're getting, it's not limited anymore from one to one, because it's not just converting electricity straight into heat. The electricity is only needed to turn the machinery, and the machinery is moving the heat from outside to inside. Yeah, so you're getting a nice bonus there, which makes these types of appliances, if they're relatively modern, like in the last 5 or 10 years, the cheapest and most efficient and yeah, most environmentally friendly way to heat a home. You might have an argument with if you have locally sourced, sustainably grown firewood, and maybe you're out in the country, so the smoke's not going to cause an issue for your neighbours. I mean, you could make an argument that that's cheaper and perhaps lower emissions if the trees are being regrown, maybe. But yeah, in terms of normal suburban situations, yeah, a good efficient split system aircon is, yeah, it's probably the way to go these days. Okay, so that was heating. Now let's look at heat pump hot water. So this is an example here. So it's got the water tank, and it's got the heat pump unit next to it, which looks very much like a outdoor unit of a split system air conditioner, because it's really doing the same thing. So it's taking electricity, using that to turn the equipment, sucking heat out of the air, blowing down the side of your house. The only difference is now it's not putting that heat into the home as in the form of warm air. Instead, it's putting the heat into the water tank. So it's heating up that water to, say, 60 degrees, which then you turn on the tap in your shower, and it's drawing that hot water out of the water tank. It's automatically mixing it with some cold water so you don't get scalded. And yeah, so that's how you get hot water for your shower. And again, you get that benefit. So it might be like a 5-to-1 ratio. That's what they call a coefficient of performance, by the way. Yeah, it's just that ratio, like a 5-to-1, for example. Now, the last gas appliance that is commonly used is cooking. So the modern way, the modern electric option now is induction cooking. So it's efficient, it's fast. I think the manufacturers of induction cooktops are they've been engaging in a bit of an arms race between each other so they can sort of say, oh, well, we're faster than gas, or well, we're even faster than you. And so the induction cooktops are kind of competing for the highest power levels. But apart from that, they're also very controllable. So you can see this in an example on the picture on the left there. So this is a saucepan that's been sort of cut in half just for demonstration purposes. And so we've got, I think it's chocolate or something like that, which is directly on the cooktop, and then you've got chocolate which is in the pan. They've turned on the induction cooktop, and only the ones in the pan have melted, not the other ones. And the reason for that is because with induction, it's not heating the cooktop, it's actually heating the pan directly. So it uses a magnetic process to heat the pan. By the way, it only works with pots and pans that have some iron in it or steel. So the way you can test whether your old pans work or not with induction is you put a fridge magnet on, and if the fridge magnet stays, then yeah, it'll work with induction. If it falls off, then it probably won't. So yeah, this is one of the safety benefits, because it's the cooktop will only heat up like underneath where the pan's been. If you take the pan off and you forget to turn off the cooker, it doesn't matter because the heat will automatically cut out. So that's the speed and the safety and the controllability. The controllability does vary a bit from model to model. Like it'll have buttons on the induction cooktop that you press to like vary the temperature. So the ones that are the quickest to use are the ones where you have like a slider where you can just like slide your finger up and down to change the temperature level. Some of the cheaper ones you sort of have to go press like that. So that's not as quick at changing the temperature as a gas one. Okay, now I've said beware of ceramic. because what that means is there's another type of electric cooktop called a ceramic cooktop, and it looks about the same as induction. It's got that nice sort of glass flat surface on the top, but it's not the same as induction. It's not heating the pan directly. It's just heating the cooktop. So it's pretty much the same as those old style electric stoves. I don't know if you remember, they have those sort of coils on top that you put the pot on, and yeah, those are not responsive. They take a long time to heat up, and then if you want to reduce the heat, it takes a long time to reduce it again. So yeah, induction is the way to go if possible, rather than a ceramic cooktop. Okay, some scenarios for switching from gas to electric. So the simple one is, if you're building a new house, then yeah, just don't put in gas appliances. Just go straight for efficient electric ones. So yeah, it'll be cheaper to run. It'll be more lower emissions, and your builder also should be achieving a saving, because they're not having to pay plumbers to come and put those gas pipes through. Whether they pass on that saving to you is another question, but yeah, there is a lower cost there. Now, if you've got an existing home and you've only got one gas appliance, so either cooking or hot water or heating, then it probably makes sense to just go ahead and upgrade it to an electric one. And one of the reasons for that is the daily supply charge to have a gas connection. So that's a charge which you'll have coming through on your gas bill, and it's often around $1 a day, and you're paying that no matter how much gas you're using. It's just a payment for the privilege of having a gas connection. So if you add that up over, say, 10 years, you're looking at $3,000, $4,000. So if you're staying in your home for a while, then yeah, that's a significant saving that you can that helps to cover the cost of efficient electric appliances. Now, if you've got multiple gas appliances, then it's probably hard to make an economic case that, I've got these appliances with plenty of life in them yet, so I'm going to throw them away. Probably what most people would do is they'll keep using their gas appliances until they reach the end of their life. So if they're wearing out, or if you need to replace them at some point, then that's the time when you would make the switch. Don't replace it with another gas appliance. Instead, you can go for an efficient electric one. Yeah, so if you've been doing that and that leaves you with just one, especially if it's just the cooktop, and because cooking actually doesn't use much gas and compared to heating and hot water, then yeah, that might be the time when, well, if you're only going to have that cooktop left, then you might as well just switch over straight away. Now, there's an exception to this. Let's say that you've only got one person in the home, you're only having one shower per day. It's a short shower, so 4 minutes, 5 minute shower, and you've got a nice efficient shower head, so when the shower's running, it's not using much water. If that's the case, then you're actually not using very much gas for your showering. If you compare that to like a big family with sporty, long-haired teenagers having multiple showers per day, long showers, high-flow shower heads, that family could be using 10 times as much hot water as the first one, right? So if you are only using a really small amount of hot water, then yeah, justifying the cost of like a heat pump hot water system, that might be hard to justify economically. So in that case, an instantaneous gas heater like the one in the picture might might be an option. I mean, it's up to you, of course, but yeah, just want to point out that sort of case. All right, let's look at some examples of bill savings. So this comes from the Victorian government. It's from their gas substitution roadmap, which is a great document that they put out just a month or so ago, I think. And so it's laying out some of the issues with gas and starting to aim for reducing the amount of gas that gets used in Victoria and substituting it with efficient electric appliances or potentially other options as well. So what they're saying is if you've got a detached house, I think it's like 4 bedrooms, just a typical sort of case, then so the bar on the left there is saying if they've got all their appliances like heating, hot water and cooking on gas, then your total energy bills per year, what's that, around $1,750 on gas, and then you've got the electric bill on top of that, bringing you up to about $3,200. So per year, your energy bill is like $3,200. Now, if you were to replace the gas ducted heating with ducted air conditioning instead, then your annual bill saving would be about $560. If you replace the old gas ducted heating with split system air conditioners, then you're looking at a bill saving of around $1,000. So that's showing the improved efficiency of split system air conditioners instead of ducted ones. And that's also including switching over from gas hot water to a heat pump and switching over from gas cooking to an induction cooktop. So yeah, you could be saving $1,000 a year going from gas appliances over to efficient electric appliances. Now, the 2 bars on the right, it's the same situation, but we're saying that house had solar panels as well. So if you have the house with solar panels and the using gas for heating, hot water and cooking, then yeah, the gas bill is still the same as the first case. Their electric bill would have been smaller. So now when they make the change to all electric home, including split system air cons, then they're looking at a bill saving around $1,250. So yeah, if you don't have solar, then you get a big annual bill saving. If you do have solar, then you get an even bigger annual bill saving, because some of the electricity that's used by your efficient electric appliances will be coming straight from your solar panels, which is almost kind of free. It's not quite, but yeah, it's a very low cost energy source. So yeah, it's basically showing that the bill savings can be substantial. Now you'll have to weigh those up against the upfront cost of buying and installing an efficient electric appliance. But yeah, if the old gas appliance needs replacing anyway, then that you're going to have to spend some money anyway, right? So it's just often the efficient electric appliance will cost a bit more upfront, but then you'll get that payback over time through lower bills. Now I've started talking about solar, so I've just got one slide. Now there's whole other presentations we could do about solar. So this is just a very quick version. But if you've got a sunny roof and you're staying in your home for several years, then yep, solar is probably worth it. So you typically, like a standard solar system, you're looking maybe 16 solar panels. It might cost you about $6,000, less if you qualify for the state government extra rebate. And yeah, so you might get a payback in 4, 5, 6, 7 years, depending on some factors like whether you qualify for that rebate, how much electricity you're using and what time of day you tend to use it, and if the panels are facing north or east or west. East and west is actually good. You do lose a bit of generation compared to north facing, but not that much. So yeah, it's there's a lot of homes that could really use solar. And as we saw on the last slide, it also helps if you are going all electric on your appliances. It gives you that additional benefit. If you go with solar, then it makes sense to try and use electricity in the daytime when you can. So if you've got an electric hot water system, like a heat pump or even an old style electric hot water system, then yeah, try and run that on a timer, like around the middle of the day. Or you can even get a little bit fancier where it like interacts with the solar. So if a cloud goes over, then it backs off the power, that kind of thing. So yeah, try and heat your water around the middle of the day off electric. If you've got a pool, then run that pool pump around the middle of the day. If electric vehicle, yeah, same thing. So any of those things you can run when it's sunny, that's going to help. Batteries are an option as an add-on to a solar system. If you're just looking at economic bill savings, then most people would say it's probably not worth it to add a battery on at this stage, and because the upfront cost is still pretty high. So, and batteries can be added on later. So for most people, that's probably the best option to do. All right, so what are some of the hurdles that you might come across in your path towards going all electric and going off gas? Well, one would be a rushed decision, often complicated by bad advice. So the stereotypical example is you're in the shower, the water runs cold, you go around the side of the house, hopefully after you put some clothes on, and you see some water leaking out of your hot water tank. You go, okay, it's suddenly urgent because I don't like cold showers. So you call up a plumber, they turn up. You say, oh, I've heard about heat pumps. What do you think about heat pumps? And the plumber goes, oh no, you don't want a heat pump because they're unreliable and they're noisy. So this is a fairly common thing. Plumbers are often not giving the best advice around efficient electric appliances. If you're in that situation, then I'd ask them the next question and say, well, okay, well, which brands of heat pump do you have experience with? They'll probably talk about some of the older brands and cheaper brands, which have been a bit of an issue in the past. So yeah, if you are going for heat pump hot water, then I'd probably recommend going for one of the good high quality brands, especially the ones that use carbon dioxide as the refrigerant gas that makes the system work inside. So yeah, so it's a good idea to have a bit of a plan so that when your hot water system does die, then you sort of already know what type of system you'll go for and maybe even where you'll source it from. Cooking with a wok. So yeah, induction cooktops are flat and they rely on having some contact with the pot or the pan. So if you've got a wok with like a rounded bottom, then that's not going to work straight away. There are some adapters you can get where you put this ring sort of thing on the cooktop and that gets heated up and it's got like a curved surface that the wok sits in. But yeah, if you really do have a style of cooking where you need to move the pan around while the flame is going underneath it, then yeah, induction may not work for you. You could have an induction cooktop and then a special wok cooker beside it, and it may even be worth it. If that's your only gas that you're using, you don't really want to be paying $1 a day just for that one little appliance. So you could consider going for the LPG bottles, the portable gas bottles, like for barbecues. Switchboard capacity. So the picture down the bottom is the switchboard in your home. It's got those little safety switches that if you overload your electricity on some of your power points, then one of those will flick down and you have to go back and flick it up again. So if you've run out of space in the switchboard to add more of these switches, then yeah, any of these appliances I've been mentioning, they are unfortunately going to need an extra switch. So that's again a sort of planning thing. If you do exceed the capacity of your switchboard, then there's going to be some extra costs to have an electrician do a new switchboard for you. Another possible hurdle is if you're building a new home. In Victoria's special. It's got some special requirements in the building regulations to meet a 6-star energy standard for a new home or a major renovation, and those requirements sort of almost require you to have a gas, to have a gas boosted solar thermal hot water system on the roof. So if you've seen the houses in the new housing estates that have like one panel or like two panels side by side, those are not actually generating electricity. They're producing hot water out of the panel, like from the direct heat of the sun, and they have a gas water heater to provide additional heat in winter when that hot water panel's not getting enough heat. So that's an unfortunate situation. If you put in a water tank, then you don't need it, like a rainwater tank. And there are some other ways to get around that as well. So that's a potential hurdle. Another one is, now this is really inconsistent. So some people report that they asked to have their gas account closed, and their gas retailer says, oh, you want your gas abolished, so you have to pay a gas abolishment charge. Other people have not had that issue, and even within the same gas area with the same gas supply company, it's inconsistent. So yeah, I would say see how you go. It probably won't be an issue, but it's one to be aware of. All right, so further information, I've just got a few links here for you. Some other organisations that can provide good information about efficient electric appliances. So Renew was formerly called the Alternative Technology Association. So this front cover on the report there is a good analysis that was done. It's probably still the best sort of detailed analysis where you can estimate what the bill savings are going to be for different scenarios of households. Yeah, I was involved in the work behind that. Your Home is a federal government thing. So that's the Your Home, it used to be called Your Home Sustainable Manual, Your Home Manual, something like that. Choice, of course, as a consumer organisation, and there's a Facebook group called My Efficient Electric Home, which is very active apparently. All right, so that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks a
so
lot.
I think we have questions, right?
We sure do. Thanks for that, Andrew. Yeah, we'll get as many of these answered as we can, and Andrew's made the offer that some could come to our email address, which you have in your email account, and we can pass them on to Andrew if we don't get to them all. So there's a question from Donna about whether An electric hot water system means the hot water is instantaneous, more so than a gas continuous system.
That's good. That's a good question. All right, I might just jump back in the slides. Okay, so you mentioned a gas instantaneous. So that's an example of this one here. So it's a relatively small unit that goes on the wall outside your home. So it's called instantaneous because you've got cold water coming in, and that's being heated up by a gas fire as it flows through the unit, and it's flowing out hot out to your shower, etc. So they're quite popular these days. Now, with an electric hot water system, the example I showed was this one with a heat pump hot water. So it's got this water tank. So it might be, say, 300 litres. There are smaller ones and bigger ones. So that's not instantaneous, and especially if you've got solar, that's actually a good thing. Or even in the context of whole neighbourhoods having solar, right? Because we're getting to the situation where we have an excess of solar energy around the middle of the day. So it's a good idea to be heating up your hot water around the middle of the day, even if you're having your shower at 7 p.m. or 6 a.m. or something like that. If you're using that electricity around the middle of the day, that works out pretty well. Or alternatively, if you don't have solar, you can run this electric hot water system at 1 a.m. in the morning, and you can choose an electricity plan that has cheap electricity at that time. So yeah, electric hot water systems are typically not instantaneous. They actually do have this stored energy, and you can almost think of it like a cheap way of having a battery. So it's storing energy, but not in the form of a battery, just in the form of preheated water. There are instantaneous electric hot water systems as well. So they just have a relatively small box, again, like the instantaneous gas one. And yeah, they're electrically heating up the water as it flows through the unit. The downside is you need a lot of power in a short amount of time. If you're having like a 5-minute shower or a 10-minute shower, that's a lot of energy to draw from an electrical system. You might even need to upgrade your electrical supply from a normal single-phase supply to a 3-phase cable coming into your house. And the other downside is, you're going to be using that electricity when you have your shower. So it might be 7 o'clock at night, right in the middle of peak time, when the sun might already be down, and your electricity plan is really expensive. So yeah, I'd normally advocate for a electric hot water system that has a water tank.
Thanks for that. There's a couple of induction cooking related comments and questions. So Liren sharing that there are induction cooktops that have a ceramic type top, and that's quite true, that the appearance of both can be similar these days. So it's important to look at the specs for what you're buying and actually be buying an induction, because otherwise it just won't be as responsive as that old ceramic style. But another one about whether people would need 3-phase power, and you talked a bit around power usage, but if they install induction cooking, would they need 3-phase power?
Oh, not just for the induction cooking. So 3-phase power, it's a heavier duty like cable that's coming into your home. So instead of just one active cable, you've got 3 active cables coming in. So you've got like 3 times as much capacity. So the advantages are you've got more headroom to run more appliances at once. So if you have a big home and you've got induction cooktops and ovens and big air cons and pool pumps and lots of gadgets and maybe electric vehicle chargers, then 3-phase is probably a good idea, especially if you're going to have to change a switchboard anyway. Then it's still going to cost a bit to upgrade to 3-phase, but if that work's being done anyway on the switchboard, then it's not going to cost that much. But it's not actually necessary. Like if, like induction cooktops, they have this really high power rating, but the rating on the appliance is only if you have all of the 4 sort of cooking areas all running on, you know, maximum power, like at the same time, and that's very rare. So electricians actually have tables that they look up in the wiring rules that say if you've got different appliances, then you don't assume that all your appliances are running simultaneously. They allow for different timing, so they're not all going to be running at once. So in most cases, you don't need 3-phase, but yeah, in some cases, it's probably a good idea.
Someone, a user there who has a single gas unit for instantaneous hot water and hydronic heating throughout the house, is a heat pump unit able to serve both purposes?
Some of them are able to, yes. It's yeah, hydronic heating. So that's where you've got hot water coming in through pipes, and then it's the pipes are either going in your concrete slab to warm up the slab, like warm up the floor, or they're going through radiators, like in your room, to heat up the room. Now, hydronic heating in Australia, it's a bit of a niche heating option. It's seen as like a premium luxury option, fairly expensive to install. It can also be quite expensive to run because, yeah, the efficiency of it. And in Australia, they're almost all running on gas. So if you're looking for someone to do a heat pump hydronic system, then now that's like a niche within a niche. So you have to finding someone who's like willing and skilled and experienced in doing it might be a challenge. There are people who do it. It is possible, but yeah, just be aware it might be a bit of a project. One unit doing the hot water for heating the home as well as for showers, yeah, that's possible. You just have to watch out that you don't jump in the shower and the water's cold, because all the hot water in the tank has already been used up to heat the living room. So yeah, just ask the questions about how that's exactly going to work. So yeah, it's possible. People have done it. Heat pump hydronic heating is not quite as efficient as split system reverse cycle air cons, but not far off. So in terms of efficiency, it can work pretty well. But yeah, it might be a bit of a project to actually get someone to do it.
Thank you. A user with the name Koval asks, if I'm to save approximately $1,000 per annum by switching to all electric split systems, how long would it take to balance the cost of, say, 6 split system units? And I guess maybe it's worth thinking about, like your earlier points about whether 6 rooms need that scale of, you know, system, and whether there's some of those smaller portable heaters or even electric throw rugs and things that might suffice. But I'll let you speak to that.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have had a gas ducted heater, then you might have had a lot of, you know, vents coming out in a lot of rooms in your house. Yeah, and you need to think like room by room what the requirements are. If it's a bathroom, then you might go with one of those all-in-one like units in the ceiling that, you know, you can turn on the light or the fan or the heater up in the ceiling. That's a reasonable option. If it's a guest bedroom that really doesn't get much use, then yeah, you could just go with one of the cheap plug-in heaters. You know, it's not very efficient to run, but if it's only going to happen, you know, a few times a year, then it doesn't really matter. Yeah, but if it's a room that's going to get a lot of use, then yeah, you're probably looking at a split system aircon. Now, how much that costs? Yeah, rather than sort of trying to, you know, do maths on the fly, I'd probably recommend having a look at this this report, household fuel choice in the National Energy Market. So that goes through some of those scenarios and says, you know, here's what your upfront cost might be and payback times and that kind of stuff.
And Bruce is wanting to get a handle on the bills, so the annual bills savings slide. So does that include around $300 saving for not having the gas connected?
I think it will have that as in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific.
So yeah, that saving is like in this example here, for example, that's probably the majority of the saving. Yeah. So the other appliances are going to save a bit, but yeah, it's not like the efficient electric appliances are, you know, super cheaper than the gas, but they are a bit cheaper, and yeah, especially when you build in that supply charge saving. And yeah, also thinking about you know what future prices might be. It's probably more likely that gas prices are going to rise faster than electric ones, in my opinion anyway, given the fact that Bass Strait is running out. Yeah, the prices in winter are probably, you know, the wholesale prices are probably likely to keep going high in winter, I think.
Thanks. And Amelia has a question sort of back to the gas ducted heating and split system. So she's got gas ducted heating and also a split aircon in one room. She finds the gas ducted heating heats all rooms, but the split system doesn't. So it's sort of around those question of whether you need a split system in every room like before. I guess she's sharing her view that she's found the split system aircon just not as effective, and it's only a couple of years old.
Okay. I'm not sure from that description if it's not effective at even heating the room that it's in, or it's just not spreading out to like other rooms beyond the room that it's in.
It only heats one room, so I guess it's about choosing something powerful enough or multiple systems if you need it, a bit like you're responsible for.
Yeah, no, that's right. A split system aircon, yeah, it's unlikely to be effective at sending air sort of down the corridor and around the corner and through the other door. It's probably only really going to work effectively in the room that it's located in, or the, you know, the open plan living area that it's located in. Yeah, so if you're looking at multiple rooms, multiple areas, then yeah, you're looking at either multiple split systems or other alternatives like we discussed. Yeah. Oh, but by the way, there are multi-splits. So that's where you have one outdoor unit that connects to multiple indoor units. So that's often a good option if you've got several rooms that you're looking to heat and cool.
Yeah, there's a question.
Sorry.
No, right.
I just realised I hadn't mentioned that these split system aircons are good for cooling as well. So you're sort of getting two functions in one unit. So
yeah, of course. And there was a question there, which I think you've just answered, about whether a central electric ducted system exists, which is what you'd be referring to there, where you've got one heat pump and then it's ducted through to multiple rooms.
That's
well,
a multi-split. It hasn't got air ducts. It's not blowing warm air into multiple rooms. It's got multiple you know, pipes. Ducted is like what this is talking about here, ducted air conditioner. So that's where you do have a central air conditioner unit, and it's blowing air out through multiple ducts, sending hot air into multiple rooms to come out of a vent like in the ceiling or in the floor, like that. Yeah. So yeah, those ducted air cons are very normal. Yeah. New homes that are being built, they often have ducted air cons. So that's not hard to achieve at all. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm mindful we're getting close to time, so I will just say people are very welcome to stay on, and it won't take too long to have some of these questions answered. I think if you would like to, but also, yeah, mindful of your your time. We'll be sending a very short survey. Always love to hear your feedback, so watch out for your inbox for that, and we'll circulate a recording of the webinar too. If you think that others will get value from it, do pass that on. And yeah, we might pop back to the questions. We're sort of jumping around different topics, but just to help people who are sort of first in, first served. So apart from the heat pump hot water system, so there are other electric hot water systems worth considering?
Yes, the short answer, worth considering, sure, yeah. So we've talked about the heat pump hot water system. I talked about the instantaneous electric, which, yeah, maybe not such a good choice, except for some real sort of niche cases. Another one that's worth considering if you're looking at putting on a big solar system, like solar electricity, would be an old style electric hot water system. So that's where you have a big tank like this, and you don't have this heat pump unit. So it's just got a simple heating element in it, and just works like a kettle. So a kettle's got this heating element, and it just heats the water 1 for 1. 1 unit of electricity gives you 1 unit of heat. So it's going to use maybe 5 times as much electricity as a heat pump, like a good heat pump hot water system will. But if you've got a big solar system and you can cover that power, like in the middle of the day, and heat up your water, then yeah, that can make sense. Yeah, the thing to watch out for is clouds. So if you have a really cloudy day, then the output of your solar system drops a lot. So is it still going to be able to cover the power of that simple electric hot water system as well as your other appliances? Maybe most of the time it will. Yeah, so on an individual basis, that can be a reasonable option. And there are some sort of smarter systems, as I mentioned, where when the cloud comes over, it backs off the power level, and then when the sun comes out, it goes back up to full power again. If you look at it from a whole of Victoria point of view, it does have some downsides if we go with the simple electric heaters, because yeah, like as we go to like a fully renewable electricity grid, the biggest challenge is going to be like a cloudy winter week, and when and it's not windy either, say. So we don't have much wind happening, we don't have much solar happening. If everyone has their simple electric hot water running, then that's a fairly big, energy demand, which is going to need to be met from somewhere. So maybe expensive long duration energy storage. So yeah, as a general thing, I think it's probably better to go with heat pump rather than simple electric, in the suburbs anyway.
And just to change tack a bit, so a question from Daniel about whether there are any government schemes for moving to gas to electric. There are actually quite a range of incentives. I'll send it in the follow-up email, but you can, and I'll pop it in the chat when I stop speaking and multitasking. We've summarised them on our website, just glenara.vic.gov.au/save energy. There's all sorts of incentives that sort of just gives you a summary and the links to the various government sites, but for hot water, hot water systems, getting rid of gas ones, changing appliances, more energy efficient appliances. Definitely the solar and battery rebates are still there, and for appliances there's all sorts of subsidies, rebates, and it sort of extends to lighting and draft proofing and other energy efficiency measures that aren't strictly about all electric. Yeah,
that's great. You've got that summarised on your website. Excellent. Only one thing I'd add is that the rebates have been improved a little bit recently. So it used to be that if you'd got the Victorian government rebate for a solar system, then you couldn't get it for a heat pump hot water like this, but now you can. So you might have thought, oh, I can't do that, but actually now you can. So yeah,
that's great. And a question about, so I was trying to jump to something that's a bit of a different topic. Yeah, okay, this is sort of about switchboard upgrades, but you might have a sense of at what point do people get overloaded. So Lindy with gas heating, cooking hot water, and only 3 fuses for the whole house, would she need to rewire the whole house in order to go all electric?
Sorry, heating, cooking, hot water. Okay, and well, if you only got 3 fuses, like 3 of these switches, then most switchboards have something like this. They've got, like, I think it's, what is it, 9 or 12 slots there. So if you've got a normal switchboard, you actually should have quite a few spare slots there. So what would you need? You could do a multi-split aircon, so that would only need one safety switch. You could do induction cooktop, that's another one, and a heat pump. So you might only need to use like 3 of those slots. And if you're only using 3 now, then yeah, if you've got a normal switchboard, I think you should be all right, without having seen the details, of course.
Great. And Bruce has very helpfully said, I can kind of answer the heat pump hydronic heating question. Radiators are heated up to about 70 or 80 degrees. That requires a very heavy duty heat pump. He said I was given a finger in the air estimate of around 30K to do that. And then he comments, I'll likely switch to split systems and pull out the radiators.
Right, yes.
So advice
yeah.
from the audience. Good.
No, that's right. If you've got an existing hydronic system, then running on gas, then if you want to switch to heat pump, yeah, it is trickier because the temperatures are different of the water. Yeah, and yep, $30,000 for a hydronic system, that's pretty common sort of number. Yeah, split systems are, yeah. There's so many companies out there that do them. The volume is high. It's pretty easy to get the job done. You can do them bit by bit, like start off with a few rooms and then add on more later. So that they're really the sort of default option, I think.
That's great. And Patrick's very helpfully been answering a bunch of questions in written form so people can see those responses. And I think we'll wrap them up shortly. But yeah, another one from Bruce around solar hot water is known to be inefficient compared to solar PV plus a heat pump. That is, it doesn't work on cold days, and on sunny days we've got a limited requirement for hot water. Are there plans for that to be improved? So I guess a bit of a question about where's the technology heading?
Right, so solar hot water, that's the one that I mentioned, like we've got the 1 or 2 panels sitting on the roof that are not generating electricity. They're just I'm not aware of any development on the way with the technology. It's been around since 1950s or 60s or something. Yeah, I'd probably recommend for a standard suburban home, probably a heat pump is more the way to go these days. And you can save that roof space for solar electric panels. Like with the solar thermal, if it's a sunny day, they work really well. They harvest a lot of heat. But then the water tank, by lunchtime, it might be all hot. And then those panels are doing nothing. Like with the electric panels, they can heat the hot water, and then once that's full, then they can be powering other appliances, or they can be sending the excess out to the grid, and you earn some money for that. So yeah, it's just a lot more flexible. Yeah.
Thank you. And we're very much on the home straight. 2 more questions. Anne asked a really good question about what incentives there are for landlords to take up all electric options.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a missed opportunity, I think, at the moment. It's the same story with installing solar, really. So yeah, the upfront cost is borne by the landlord, but then the bill savings are enjoyed by the tenant. Yeah, if a landlord and the tenant can talk to each other and work something out agreeably, then you might be able to increase the rent to cover the cost of the efficient appliances, and the tenants are better off because the bill savings outweigh the rent increase. That's the sort of simple version.
I think you just have to check that you're still compliant with the tenancy laws, because I think there might have been some changes around that. But I'll send some links. Absolutely, there's a solar for renters scheme, which is the rebates and perhaps a no interest loan that goes with it. But I'll send the links to that detail. Absolutely, for solar, there's a scheme there for landlords to support rental properties. For other upgrades, hot water and appliances and things, I'll check the detail whether people need to be owner occupiers. Quite probably, but it's a good question, and I'll circulate that after the session. And a very last question. This is sort of like Daniel Andrews' press conference, where we just stay here until every question is answered. But we're pretty much done now. Peter asked, what about pacemakers and electric cooking? So finishing on a different note.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. If you get an induction cooktop, it will have some warnings about pacemakers. I think it depends on the distance away. So if you're leaning right over the cooktop, then that might not be advisable. But yeah, just check out the warnings with the with the model of induction cooktop before you commit to it. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Andrew, for the presentation and fielding the questions, and thanks everyone for making it interactive and for really useful questions. Yes, as I said earlier, for those of you who have stayed on a bit longer, there'll be an email shortly. We do love to hear your feedback, and also there's a question about how else would you like Glenara Council to support you to reduce your carbon emissions at home? So welcome your suggestions, and definitely stay in touch. Many of you are already subscribers to our sustainability news, and that's probably the way you found your way here. But if not, jump online. You can just simply Google Glenara Sustainability News and you can sign up, and follow us on Facebook too. So yes, that's it from us. Thanks a lot. Good night.